You are living in the most dangerous time in American history.
We won't take a single back step.
Former professional basketball player is now the Republican Party's choice.
Can you imagine Royce White, the U.S. Senate?
White won the endorsement on May 18th with 67% of the vote.
There's nothing that guarantees we win, but I guarantee you if we lose, we will die. Welcome back to another episode of Please Call Me Crazy, brought to you by Free People Radio, powered by our favorite sponsor, TireGet.com. That's TireGet.com. You have to buy tires from somebody. You might as well buy them from us. Help fund the movement, help support the movement. We believe in the freedom of movement, and that's exactly what the establishment wants to take from you now. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And today we have another incredible HEBROES lined up for you. My co-host, Professor Penn, is back in the studio with us as promised last Friday. Welcome back, Professor Penn.
We kept the promise pretty good this time.
Yeah, we were a couple of days off.
We're close.
Real close.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we had to come on today.
Yeah.
Because the frustration level. I've been calling you for about a week.
Yep, go ahead.
And telling you I'm losing it now. I mean, I've been doing this politics thing more and more, full time for quite a while. And I'm generally pretty, I don't know what would be the word, conciliatory, and I'm generally not quick to condemn. But over this last week, the problem, which we've identified as being the uni party, it's the uni party. It's the uni party. It's the uni party. No, it's not. It's not the uni party. It's the people. It's the people. It's us. It's we the people. A nice way of saying it is we've lost our way. You could say we've lost our mind. You could say we've lost our capacity for self-governance. However you want to say it, we the people are not really worthy of keeping our freedom because we're making decisions that are contrary to our own self-interest. And then we got Donald Trump out there smashing the order. I mean, this is the day globalism died. Today is the day globalism died. It's dead. He stuck a knife in it today. Dead. And you know what's going to happen? The elites, who are chameleons, and they call them reptiles, right? Shapeshifters. They're going to immediately shift their shape. They're going to go all MAGA in America because at the end of the day, they don't care if it's communism or capitalism. They don't care. They just want to get the technocracy in place so they can take what's left of our freedom. So Trump,
communism is favorable, but capitalism will do.
If it Larry Fink came out and said, "Oh, people don't trust us anymore. We have to regain the trust of the people." How are they going to do that? By lying to the people. And then the people are going to buy the lie. They're going to buy the lie because, hey, I watched the Bears and the Rams play on Sunday night. It was really entertaining. I had a great time. I hadn't watched football for a long time. I was out of town. I was in a hotel room all by myself, and I turned on the Bears and the Rams, and I saw that last pass at the end of the fourth quarter by the Bears quarterback. It was epic. It restored my faith in humanity. Wow, it was a miracle. No, it wasn't. It was a good football play by an exceptional athlete.
Mm.
It's no substitute for freedom. But I guess if the people are going to vote for bread and circuses, for football and porn and dope, if that's that's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
And we're sitting here trying to be educators here.
Yeah.
And we got this beautiful audience of thousands and tens of thousands of people that love you. I mean, I read the threads. They love you. But, we need millions of people. Millions of people. So we're missing something that is going to get us around the corner here. And, for my own podcast, Royce, I'm thinking it's about personal empowerment. Did you see that video? I'm sure you saw it, the video of those protesters going into that church in St. Paul. Did you see that video?
I did. Horrifying.
Did you see how the parishioners responded to the desecration of their altar and their sanctuary?
Passive aggressive?
I don't even think it was passive aggressive. I think it was terrified because there were men in there that kept their hands in their pockets and smiles on their face while the altar of the Lord was desecrated by non-believers.
Well, we've done it on two fronts, and I said this before. You've heard me say that at some of these Republican Party events, people have a way of knowing who the bullies are, who the people are in power. You take a kid on a playground, and whoever the in group is, or the more aggressive kids on the playground, and you start to sort that out and figure that out real quick, or you find yourself on the wrong end of their tyranny. You find yourself on the wrong end of their bullying. And sometimes kids do. And sometimes it takes a few knocks on the head before they either steer clear of that group altogether, give them their space, or they start to conform to that group and try and become a part of that group to protect themselves. And, we do that in two ways in the Republican Party. The first way is we completely resign from the process, and that's 30 million Christians nationwide and 1 million Christians here in Minnesota that didn't cast a ballot in the 2024 presidential election in our nation's darkest hour. The second way we do it is we try to conform. We say, well, maybe our candidates need to appeal a little bit more to the middle, a little
more
bit
electable.
more to Democrats, a little bit more electable. That's exactly right. And we're cutting our nose to spite our face on both fronts. Number one, and the Michele Tafoya breaking news today is a prime example. It doesn't get. I mean, it's like the quintessential example of how the system comes together on both sides of the aisle to perpetuate and preserve itself. The whole premise is that Michele Tafoya can win because she's popular, which is a bastardization of citizenship in the first place. Popularity contests and pageantry are for kleptocracies in decline. When your political culture devolves into popularity contests and pageantry, you are probably most likely a kleptocracy in decline. And my pitch to people was never about my name recognition. It was never about me being black or fitting some type of quota. It was never about me being able to appeal to people in the inner cities. Those things were just natural. Those were bonuses. My pitch to the Republican Party from my first day stepping up to the podium at the Congressional District Convention in CD5 was, are we the party of God? The first line
I was there.
You
I
were
was there.
The very first line I said is providential, how it all shakes out. My very first line in my convention speech in 2022 was, are we the party of God? And it split the room right down the middle. Even then, in 2024, we had a referendum, and I was able to go to a higher seat with a bigger sample size of Minnesota Republicans, and I was able to be victorious and overcome the opposition from within the party to an extent. Now the referendum's back again. And you got to look at, like, I already looked at this political journey and mission as an 8 to 16 year endeavor, that it would take us, the better part of 2 decades to be able to wrestle this thing back from the forces that oppose us, the forces that subvert us. So, I knew, okay, this first election we lost in the primary. We lost an endorsement, and we lost in the primary by 700 votes. That's not a representation of anything, more or less, other than what we already knew, that the Minnesota Republican Party is almost non-existent in Minneapolis, in the Minneapolis district, in the Minneapolis congressional district. So then we go to a larger sample size statewide, and we get a completely different result, the opposite result. We win the endorsement, and we win the statewide election. And because we did, it sent a shot around the world. Me winning the endorsement and the primary in 2024 with all of the constabulary lined up against me, here locally and even nationally, was a shot heard around the world. Holy shit. These nationalist populist candidates are actually starting to break through. They're actually starting to break through the machine. They're actually starting to break through the process. They're figuring it out. And now, in the 2026 midterm, which I do believe is the Gettysburg of this of our nation's, the Gettysburg moment of our country.
Of this fight for freedom.
Of the fight for freedom, absolutely. Yeah, the 2024 was Vicksburg. 2026 is going to be Gettysburg, right? All the chips are up on the deck. Like you said, President Trump taking a knife to the world order, the liberal order, taking a knife to the globalist agenda, and they're subverting them every single day. And we don't know how much he knows, how much he's aware of, how much he can balance and juggle, and how much he can tend to. But we do know that people like Lisa Murkowski, for example, are no friend to the MAGA movement, to the America First movement, or the American people. We can safely and confidently say Lisa Murkowski doesn't pass the sniff test. So then we got to ask ourselves, well, where does that leave Tim Scott? Because Tim Scott endorsed Lisa Murkowski. And his response when they asked her, when he received criticism that Lisa Murkowski was a RINO, his response was, well, I like to win. See, right there is the crisis of our culture and the crisis of our leadership. I like to win. The need to win transcends the need to tell the truth or be righteous. So then you can't say you're a Christian, right? I mean, you can, but you're a failing one. In principle, you're a failing Christian. And then we get a Tim Scott-led, that was back in 2022. Then you get a Tim Scott-led RNC by some odd chance. NRSC, right. A Tim Scott-led NRSC, National Republican Senatorial Committee. And just for the record, Tim Scott might have said the most anti-MAGA foreign policy view I heard in the entire 2024 presidential cycle. He said, and I quote, "We have to be ready to fight a war on 3 fronts in Asia at all times." That is diametrically opposed to the momentum of the MAGA movement and the America First movement to reorient the entire, global order. We don't want to be ready to fight a war in Asia on 3 fronts at all time. And even if we are ready, we don't want that to be our priority. That's not on the tip of our tongue. That's not high up on the priority list. What's high up on the priority list is our country and our countrymen and women. So Tim Scott is a RINO. I mean, he's a swamp creature himself. And of course, he recruits Michele Tafoya. And that's the breaking news today. Michele Tafoya, and she's everywhere. And not only is she everywhere, it confounds itself on face value because she urged President Trump. She wrote an open letter and urged President Trump not to run again in 2024. And she doubled and tripled down on it on her podcast. Please don't run. It's going to bring chaos. We want to get back to normal. We want, what, excuse me? What is normal? See, when I say remember normal, I'm talking about socially. I'm talking about social normal. I'm talking about cultural normal, like
opening a door for a woman.
Exactly.
Something
right.
like that.
Something
Chivalry.
Like that's right. Right.
The traditional values that have existed for 1,000 years.
Even that your in some sense, you and your family and your immediate communities, self-preservation has some value. Because we've gotten to a place now in this globalist society where it's all but non-existent.
Self-abnegation.
Yes, the value of yourself and your family and your immediate community have almost reached net zero. Like it's the furthest thing from people's minds. And that's exemplified in this current, more recent poll that came out where they asked Gen Z men who voted for President Trump out of 12 issues where they rank marriage and children. Gen Z males who voted for President Trump in 2024 out of 12 issues rank having children number 1 and marriage number 4. Gen Z women who voted for Kamala Harris, same 12 issues, they rank having children number 11 and being married number 12.
Pretty much sums it up.
Pretty much sums up the entire deal. Pretty much sums up American culture. And there's a remnant in our politics. But my point is that politically, remember normal means something completely different. Remember normal socially and culturally means something completely different than remember normal politically. Politically, normal has always been, or for the longest time, been subversive since President Kennedy took a bullet in his head in front of the entire country. Normal in American politics has not been something to point to or aim at. But in this nation's darkest hour, Michele Tafoya's instinct was to conform to the bullies on the playground and pull us back into the normal status quo of corruption. And that's exactly who's backing her right now. The NRSC, I mean, how does MAGA square the circle? Okay, we already had a huge fight about Israel and, Christianity, and then there's this huge elephant in the room. It's like, well, if Christians are so concerned with geopolitics, or let's say Israel, why aren't you showing up to vote in your own elections? Why do you have more passion about Israel than you and Bibi Netanyahu than you do your own political elections? And even if they say, well, we don't know if 30 million Christians are voting or not because the count can't be credited. The count can't be trusted.
verified.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Even if they say that, well, then there's not an uprising or an uproar either from the Christian community to demand that the elections be secure in the same tone or passion or fervor when the discussion about Israel in our foreign policy comes up. People are damn near willing to hit the streets in the Christian community to defend our relationship with Israel. I mean, they're not going to hit the streets, but they're right there. I mean, they're
writing checks.
They're not only are they writing checks, but if there are political events, they will lead with Israel. Okay? But when it comes to the security of their elections, it's like, well, I mean, and they show you this.
But that's very easy to understand.
But wait,
Royce.
even they show you this at another level. There's even another level of this, because and this is how upside down and inside out the MAGA movement is intellectually about politics and more importantly about the priorities. President Trump already changed the orientation. The first time he ran, he took immigration and trade and put it way up the list when it wasn't high up the list. And now in the second, iteration, it was peace, economic prosperity, and having a country, fundamentally, the border. A border with economic prosperity and peace. That was the pitch in 2024. But now that we're getting down into the weeds, into the nuance, the MAGA movement is having trouble squaring this circle. How do you hold both views simultaneously? How do you say that a candidate like Royce is unelectable and look at the last election for proof, but then say that the elections aren't secure, that the elections are rigged? Which one is it? Are the elections rigged? Are the elections not secure? Or are our candidates bad? You can't hold both views simultaneously. See,
it's very convenient for people to say the candidates are bad, because to really delve into that election issue, I think most Republicans don't want to deal with it, because if they really came to grips with President Kennedy's head getting blown off and everything that's happened downstream of that my entire life, and then the elections aren't secure, and who did it? Why did they do it? Who's running the show if we don't have free and fair elections? There's a terror factor here. The same kind of terror factor that was in that church when those people came in there and they were just tolerated in that building. The sanctuary of American election integrity has been desecrated. Or at least I believe it has been.
Right.
And let's say I'm not correct. Let's say I'm not correct. Let's say I'm not. Why would it be that difficult when we have a polarized polity to just make an effort to make the elections more transparent and secure, just to alleviate the growing gap between these camps? They don't want to do that, which means they want the gap to continue to enlarge, to become more polarized. And everything's polarizing everything all the time. So
what about this? What about this scam in the narrative? We need better candidates, because if not, we can't win. Even that is a self-defeatist and completely untrue view of the American political landscape. What's scary is it's coming from the right. It's coming from Christians. Christians are giving themselves an out so that other Christians don't have to show up to offset the madness. Because the reality is, if 30 million Christians in this country of voter age would vote, if 1 million Christians and conservative of voter age in Minnesota would vote, we would be a red state. It wouldn't matter how many Democrats or liberals or Marxists
or
or
even
communists
what's going on with the elections
or Satanists
because
come out to vote.
Too big to Rick.
We wouldn't, more importantly, we wouldn't need to concede or conform to candidates who we all agree are soft on the important issues. I mean, this is, and I said 4 years ago on Jason Whitlock's show, 501c3 Christians are the beating heart of the problem in this country. And look at them all fawn. Look at Fox News fawn over a pro-choice, and I would venture to guess very lukewarm on the Second Amendment Republican. And their justification is, well, she'll be better than a Democrat. How? How exactly?
And apropos to what I was saying about the polarization, which is being intensified, that legitimizes a candidate that is allegedly or fenced as being in the center electable, which all we're going to do is just perpetuate this status quo scam. And it's like, my God, aren't people realizing we're getting robbed? I played on my podcast, Don Rumsfeld on 9/10/2001, the day before 9/11, got up on the stage at a press conference in the Pentagon and said, our systems are not modernized, not yet. We're tangled up in our own anchor chain, and we can't find $2.3 trillion. Geez, we're so sorry. 2.3, this is 2001. And that Catherine Austin Fitts is now putting out information that she believes, and she's done a lot of good research, that $20 trillion has been disappeared between 97 and 2015. And you listen to Greenspan and Powell and Kashkari, and what do they all have to say in common? It doesn't matter because we can print
as much as we want.
And then what does that mean to me? Me. It means I am being robbed through inflation, and my net worth is being transferred upstream to these elites through this process of endless printing of money to cover the gap.
More fundamentally, it means you're being worked like a slave to death.
And I am.
Yeah.
I mean, you're around me. You see it.
Right.
And you know what? Great. I'm more than happy to.
Fine. That's the endemic curse. Nobody's against work, but can we get a fair day's pay for our work? And that is the underlying scam here, the economic implication of a Republican Party and an American economy that goes back to the center is to crush the American working class. And the question we have to start asking ourselves, and I'm at this place because I'm watching the response and I'm just laughing. I mean, it's the greatest form of American cuckery I think I've ever experienced. Second only to what the Democrats ran on us previously. Right? It's like,
are you talking about with the COVID shots?
No. I mean that, we're scamming you. We have all three branches of government, but we're still going to tell you we're doing it for your own good, and you'll still vote for us. I mean, that's cuckery. That's your wife going down the street with another man and having sex with him and telling you it's for the betterment of your relationship, and you saying, okay, and you just keep showing up, and, drinking the Kool-Aid anyway. And she tells you she loves you. She's doing it because she loves you. Okay, if you want to go down the street and be with another man and there's some type of kinky arrangement, that's people's private business. I got nothing to do with it. I'm not judging you. But just don't tell me you're doing it because you love me. If I hear her telling you that, I got to call foul. I guess, wait a second. She's not doing it because she loves you. No, she's doing it because she feels the need to do it. And let that be that, okay? But let's be clear about what the deal is. It's the same thing with American political culture. The Democrats are screwing you because they want to, not because they have to, not because there's some gap.
Not because they love us.
Well, certainly not that, but not even because there's some gap that they can't bridge between governance and citizenship. or some economic bridge that they can't gap between governance and citizenship. They're stealing from you because they want to.
Because Larry Fink is now the head of the WEF, and all of our assets are being transferred upstream into an internationalist globalist architecture that's been set up since 1913, actually. I mean, you can pick any point in the stand. You could say 46. Doesn't matter.
You could go back to the 1700s of the central banking system in Europe.
You could go back to the cross. I mean,
Yeah.
There's a pushback. I mean, politics is about push. You're going to push until there's pushback.
But the Republican Party cuckery now
is mind-boggling.
No. This is truly embarrassing.
It is.
No, seriously.
It is.
When I see middle-aged white men who are Republican voters say that the winning ticket is Lisa DeMuth and Michele Tafoya, my first thought is, okay, we're gonna do identity politics. That's our answer. Our answer is we're gonna run two women because we live in a feminist-dominated political culture. And I even say it. I actually went in the comments to one of the people and I said, oh, we're gonna run two women. And their response was, well, that's what the Democrats did. Seemed to work for them. It seemed to work for them. Really. That is your political standard. It seemed to work for them, so let's try it. Okay. I mean, fine. I'm 34. I mean, at some point, the American people will get sick of this shit.
But will they? But will they get sick
Oh,
of
for
it?
sure.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's going to get bad. Oh, it's coming.
Oh, it's here.
Oh, no, it's coming. Oh, it ain't here yet. Oh, these are just the early rumblings.
No, the rumblings are getting pretty loud.
No.
When people are walking in churches.
No.
They didn't kill them, I guess.
You think it's bad. That's bad relative to what we've experienced. That's bad relative to what we've experienced. People walking in churches, they're powder puffs. Let's be honest. As wrong as it was, and as much of a herald as it is of the times we live in, I mean, how much damage is Don Lemon really going to do? Let's be honest. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't be charged or that he shouldn't be subpoenaed, because I think he should be, just on principle. That's how you hold the law. That's how you maintain the law of the land, is you say, we're gonna put a stop to this right here. That's exactly what they try to do to us. You can't even say on Elon Musk-owned X, you can't even say the word tranny, or else you get suspended or shadow banned. You have the reach is turned down if you say the word tranny. So the PC culture, the politically correct culture, is running just fine from the other side. Now we're saying, all right, hold on, we're going to draw a line around the churches, which is right to do, for sure. A lot of jurisprudence to support that. What I'm talking about is the reality that Don Lemon ain't coming to kill. And there are people out there that will be coming to kill. And this is the real genius of their strategy. They know. This is why they've organized and weaponized the left in the first place, the way that they have. This is why the polarity has become more beneficial, more valuable to them than the centrist status quo. It used to be that the centrist status quo is the easiest thing to draw upon to perpetuate the scam. But as things become more disproportionate, as the scam runs long enough and the working class gets more discontent, that there's a separation between the work they put in, the energy they put in, their quality of life and their savings, let's say that their aspirations and dreams, and can they attain them as American working citizens? As that gets bigger and bigger, that rift gets bigger and bigger, now they're turning to violence and passion and anger as the go-to source of energy for their political agenda. And so they're going to accelerate that. That's their plan now. Their plan has shifted from, hey, if everybody's on the take, if everybody's...
Let's just keep expanding the pool of people that are on the take.
Oh, no, they've shifted. The shift
now
is...
they're going to work the polarities. Because the ultimate goal,
right.
the ultimate goal of the whole deal is to destroy the people who have faith. That is the true threat to those that want tyranny of the material.
Even more specific, I mean, let's just be real honest. They have to destroy America.
That's how they're going to destroy it.
That's what it is.
That's the unique fabric
they have
of
to
our
break
country.
America. If they can break America's spirit, the American people's spirit, and the DNA of freedom that we all kind of carry as a part of our American identity, if they can break that, they can go after the whole world.
They already got most of the world. We're the last.
Yeah, no, they don't though, because
they got Canada.
Yeah, Canada's been a
they got Australia.
State.
They
now,
got
wait a
England.
second. Wait a second. No, wait. No, wait a minute. They have their governments. They have their elites. They don't have their people.
Oh, that's a great point. And I want to comment on that because I have an insight on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people that are really the elites, the Larry Fink, he's representing. He's not even the guy. He's another hired hand. These folks will shapeshift in a heartbeat. They're going to throw all these wherever they have to.
Dustin Gragey.
They'll throw them under the bus. I mean,
That's who Dustin Gragey is.
Go ahead with this, because he's a particularly skullduggerous character.
No, he's a shape-shifting mechanism for the status quo of the uniparty. He's not even really shy about it. I mean, he was defending Tom Emmer a couple weeks back when the entire conservative social media, went ape shit to find out that Tom Emmer worked with Keith Ellison in founding the Somali Caucus. I mean, right at the height of that, the conservative movement was on the edge of crossing over the Rubicon into the real scam of this whole deal.
Oh, then, boom, distraction happened right there, right at that second.
Right. Well, not only that, but people like Dustin Gragey, and I've been watching. I mean, I'm just watching him. He rode the corruption of Governor Tim Walz and the American people's national interest in that fraud. In Tim Walz's absolutely embarrassing governorship, but more specifically now the fraud of Minnesota, he rode the nation's interest in that fraud to have some sizable social media following. And now, and the whole point of it from the beginning was to leverage it to be able to, endorse a person like Michele Tafoya. And I can't tell you how many people I have to, say, Dustin Gragey, I see the people who are following him, people that I know personally. And I'm like, Russia shot first Dustin Gragey. Remember we had that epic debate? Me and him on X?
I was on that, yeah.
I got to run that again. But it was an epic debate where when we got down to the basics, I asked him, let's take police, for example. Do you believe that if a citizen is pointing a gun at a cop, he has the right to defend himself and use lethal force? And, of course, his answer was, yeah. Okay. If a citizen is pointing a gun at another citizen, do you believe that citizen has the right to defend themselves with lethal force? Yeah. So why doesn't Russia have a right to defend themselves if we're pointing short range ballistic missiles at them? So you don't even have the fundamentals of American citizenship, our basic and core values philosophically about citizenship down, or let's say, sorted in a way that you could apply them to the world stage. And in that way, America has misrepresented our values, has misrepresented the American identity on the world stage. It's bastardized and undermined American citizenship here at home. And that's a huge gamut that the left has run on us. And they say it all the time. And this goes right to the heart of the issue. Military-industrial complex. I'm not even going to say where sideline NFL reporter Michele Tafoya is going to fall on military-industrial complex because Tim Scott's recruited her. I just go listen to what Tim Scott says and know that she's going to get the phone call when we start talking about foreign policy on the Senate floor. I don't have to wonder where she's going to fall on those issues.
She's a reliable vote.
A pair of steady hands is what they call it in D.C. The people who will, in a crisis, forego the morals and ethics to preserve the status quo. That's who she is. She's a pair of steady hands.
And then I watch all of the feedback and all this avalanche of coverage she's getting, and I look at what people are saying. It's very depressing. Why are you laughing? I'm very depressed by it because it's so obviously a regurgitation of the same shit that got us into the spot that we're in right now. And I don't know her personal, but first of all, because I go back a little farther than folks, I actually was watching football when it started. I mean, I'm talking about, I saw the first Super Bowl game on television. I don't even think you were a twinkle in somebody's eyes when I saw that. You know, when Monday Night Football started, they had a trio of broadcasters in the booth on ABC. It was Dandy Don Meredith and Frank Gifford and Howard Cosell. Howard Cosell, we loved Howard Cosell. He brought a gravitas to sports broadcasting that has never been reproduced, really. He was a unique franchise onto his own. And he rode Muhammad Ali to fame,
Right.
which I'm sure you saw him because I know you're a Muhammad Ali fan.
Yeah, Howard Cosell.
And he featured Muhammad Ali on the ABC Wide World of Sports.
At a time where it was really controversial.
It was super controversial.
Even who Muhammad Ali was.
Say my name.
In the public, from an athletic standpoint, was controversial for an athlete at the time. Even to talk the way he did about boxing was semi-controversial.
Everything.
But the politics was another level, obviously.
Crazy.
Right.
And Howard Cosell was so entrenched as the guy. The guy. He was like the Walter Cronkite of sports. And there was a game, Monday Night Football, and there was a kickoff, and the guy went end to end, and Howard Cosell said something that was just epically out of touch with reality. He goes, "Look at that little monkey go." Of course, the man was black. And that was the end of Howard Cosell, as big as he was. And his stature, Michele Tafoya is not even in his minor leagues, his gravitas. And then we had Jimmy the Greek. Jimmy the Greek. A lot of people don't remember Jimmy the Greek. Jimmy the Greek was cool. He was on every Sunday. He's the commentator. And he's interviewed one day and he goes, you know, black people just have more of the necessities of what it takes to be great athletes. Oop. And that was the end of Jimmy the Greek. Goodbye. Because he was saying things that were not part of what is the network?
The accepted narrative.
What is the network, legacy media, which controls to this day football? That's just the propaganda arm of the banking, military, industrial complex business model. And when I'm supposed to watch, I enjoyed the hell out of that game. I'm in a hotel room all by myself, got nothing to do. I haven't watched a football game in a really long time.
But you know what it's meant to do.
Oh, yes. And I was caught up and I said, wow, I'm actually going to, and I'm thinking to myself, and you know what happened after? I couldn't sleep all night long. And I didn't know Michele Tafoya was coming out this week. But for her to be a 30-year broadcaster, 30 years successfully going from network to network.
Makes you a sellout from the outset.
She's never had an original thought of her own, or if she did, she forgot it because there's no way to keep that job and be an original.
Well, you damn sure can't keep that job and be somebody like me. And you can't keep that job and be somebody like President Trump once he entered politics. President Trump had an amazing career on television as well, and The Apprentice, had several seasons that were very successful. But his role on The Apprentice, the show The Apprentice was very streamlined in what it was conveying and how he was portrayed in it. He was the boss, and he was going to call the balls and strikes. He was going to give a thumbs up or thumbs down on the people who were seeking employment or seeking to be in that professional environment. Very basic in its nature. Funny, entertaining for sure. And President Trump has a certain entertainment charisma.
Oh, he gets it.
Yeah, he's funny. He's more funny than people probably give him credit for. Really, he's like a comedian almost level.
He was today when he was at Davos.
He
was hilarious.
I saw. He's great, but wasn't really stepping out of the lines either on The Apprentice.
He would have lost the show.
He would have lost the show. And so sports is even more stratified or leans towards the conformity, the accepted narrative. You can't look at what they did to Kyrie Irving. Everybody forgets. Here's a man who said simply, I don't want to take this vaccine. I don't think I need to take this vaccine. I'm not taking this vaccine. And he was pilloried across the aisle, remind you, across the aisle. And now and what did they do with him? They connected it to,
anti-Semitism.
And anti-Semitism.
They had to go all that
Don't get
way.
me wrong. He did post the movie photo, which he kind of stumbled into a steel trap. that he didn't understand was out there for him underneath the political climate was, okay, you said something very real and logical about the vaccine culture of the moment. And we want to crucify you for that. But it seems rather unfair to the general public. And especially because you're such a celebrity of the bread and circuses, people don't want to see you treated unfairly. So we're getting a lot of pushback for that. Oh, now you stumbled into anti-Semitism. Perfect. Not to mention you had, push some flat earth theories, kind of casually before as well. So we can now clump it all in and say, here's an eclectic guy who's, trying to be something that he's not intellectually, and he's just a conspiracy theorist more or less. But he ended up being first of all, let's be honest, okay, here tonight. There are a lot of questions about NASA that need to be answered.
Well, that was a jump.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, Kyrie Irving might have made some statements that were crude, sort of crude representation of a question that is logical. That, if there's a government agency that we should question, NASA is one of them. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, we're right to question. People are right to question NASA. Are they right to come to the logical conclusion that the Earth is definitively flat and not round? That's another leap. But to say that we shouldn't trust NASA because we can't trust the CIA is perfectly reasonable.
Well, considering who put
so
NASA
his intuition,
together.
There you go. I mean, his intuition was correct. He just said it in a way that's
a little clumsy.
Yeah, but he's a basketball player. He's not. He's a young basketball player. He's a young man. But the vaccine is 100%, 100% right to question.
But go back just for a second.
And the anti-Semitism thing ended up being the battleground for the entire American and global political conversation.
I want to go back just for a second to sports.
They pilloried him. My point is, if Michele Tafoya was even a scintilla of anything like Kyrie Irving is, she wouldn't have had a 30-year career.
Lost that job.
And I'm not to say that Kyrie Irving was right or that, we need a bunch of Kyrie Irvings in politics or in office. But I am saying that Kyrie Irving is closer to the impulse we need in American politics than Michele Tafoya. For sure. Not even remotely close.
And then we go back to something we touched on in the last podcast, which is what is sports? If not the replacement for the church, the new sanctuary, the new place where we all gather as Americans in the center, and we suspend, for the most part, fighting and division. In fact, a lot of people that are into sports don't even want to be troubled with the problems of politics and the vicissitudes of our modern condition. They go and they lose themselves in the sporting world, and they're part of really a church. And then you break that back and you go, well, what did you just say a few minutes ago? The problem is, and you said it 4 years ago, it's the 501c3 Christians that are not willing to stand up and they're not willing to pick up their cross and bear it.
Right.
And so the point I'm trying to make is, of course, the sports world is homogenized and controlled and indicative of a religious culture where dissent is not tolerated.
Right.
I mean, it's the ultimate expression of, well, we had a church. Conformity, that's right. And that's what it is when you go to church. Everybody dresses the same.
But there are other things.
Everybody sits the same, prays the same.
There are other things, other great and essential things that do come from the sports world. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, just from an intellectual standpoint, that most things in the world are amoral. Remember we talked about morality?
Amoral.
Amoral.
Not immoral.
Not immoral.
Not moral.
They are amoral.
Amoral.
But then I started to think to myself, nothing is really amoral. Because an inanimate object, or let's say an institution, ceases to exist or ceases to have any effect on the world unless there are people to relegate it. There are people to, the institution or the inanimate object become an extension of the will of the person. And we say, guns don't kill people, people kill people, right? Well, it's the same for everything in society. Everything that doesn't have the human will and the human spirit becomes a projection of what humans put into it, whether it's building a skyscraper and the use of that building, or it's a gun, or it's sports,
Or a politician.
or politics. That's right.
Or a politician.
Or a politician.
Which really
Right.
is the reflection of the will of the people, which is why I'm so unhappy.
Discouraged.
It's very discouraging.
I'm discouraged too.
It is, because
am.
it's not that she's doing it. It's that people are reacting to it as if it is such an indictment.
But be careful. Be careful that we take the representation of the reaction as the actual sentiment. See, because there's two things here. One, there are a lot of people who are underrepresented in the algorithm. That's number one. But no, we know that personally. But number two, and this is maybe more important, people have a tendency, a fatal tendency, to follow the crowd, even if it's not what they really think. This is a fatal flaw of the human condition. People will
conform.
But so there's two types of conformity. There's conformity where you actually agree. You know, you are a person a certain way, you think a certain thing, and then, you know, with the smallest nudge, you will go along because you agree, because your opinion has fundamentally changed. Your view has changed.
We're heading towards manufactured consent.
Then you have people who don't actually agree.
And override themselves.
But will go anyway because it's safe. And that's who the American people are as a collective. And that's exactly why that's exactly why some of them are showing this type of excitement about Michele Tafoya, because that's who she is. But more importantly, this is the important part. The machine knows. The machine can gauge how much conformity exists in the American political culture. So they can manufacture the consent and represent, they can manufacture the consent and portray a narrative beneficial to their agenda, no matter what the people really think. Because at some level, it's not about what the people actually think, because we don't have a culture where we demand that much of our institutions or our government or our politicians or our leaders or our families or our wives or husbands or children or ourselves. We don't demand that type of level of, you know, this is what it needs to be, or else there are going to be consequences, or else I'm willing to hit the streets. The establishment can gauge just how much conformity there is in the American political culture. They can see it.
They can use the polarization to...
At a level, it's not about what the people really think. It's about what the perception is of what the people think.
If there's this much polarization...
The perception is that the perception is that President Trump is an anomaly in American political history. And despite his success, people really don't like him. They really don't like the uncomfortable feeling they get when he starts to challenge the status quo too much, like with ICE or with Greenland. And all in all, they don't really respect him. They view him as a means to an end. That's the perception. The perception is that enough people in American politics find President Trump such a standard deviation away from the norm of what we consider to be statesmanlike. They can, and they are trying to right now, manufacture a political swing in the narrative that says President Trump was just an anomaly. He was lightning in a bottle. Now we're past that. And that's exactly what Michele Tafoya tried to pitch in 2023 to tell him not to run. She said, well, yeah, I mean, he won, but, you know, look at 2020. We all have to admit in 2020, well, first of all, we don't have to admit anything. The 2020 election was stolen. And I challenge anybody listening to this tonight to ask Michele Tafoya, does she believe that the elections are secure, and does she believe there was fraud in the 2020 election? And she will tell you exactly who she is. Now, she may switch it. She may try and change it now. Just like
That's a Dustin Gragey move. The Dustin Gragey.
Yes.
Because
but I think that she has too much connection and loyalty to the anti-Trump and anti-MAGA movement, the anti-Trump and anti-MAGA establishment. I think that her loyalty is so much on that side of the fence. If you ask her, she'll come right out and say it. She'll come right out and say she doesn't think that there was fraud in the 2020
she's a Liz
election.
Cheney fan.
Lisa Murkowski.
You know what?
Tim Scott endorsed
Royce?
Lisa Murkowski.
I wonder, you think Michele Tafoya is going to watch this podcast tonight? Because if she is, Michele, let's just bring it right up on the table. 10 debates. I could moderate. Get your own moderator. We could have 2 moderators. I could, if you're running for U.S. Senate.
Yeah.
And, I had people tell me that she's pretty good on her podcast. I've never listened to her. But let's see if we can get some real traction through this process of helping Minnesota citizens understand what the hell is going on. Because globalism died today.
Yeah.
President Trump killed it. This is really an important moment. But,
it really died when Lutnick dropped a hammer on him about the importance of nationhood and individual sovereignty, the sovereignty of nations, and what he called the scam of globalization. That
he was pretty articulate with the thing.
Oh
wasn't
yeah. Lutnick was he was sharp on it. He was sharp on it. He was spot on.
Trump says, he goes hilarious. He goes, windmills. I go to these countries, they got windmills.
Mm-hmm.
They're all made in China. The Chinese don't use windmills. They just build them for dummies.
Beautiful.
It was like right in their house.
Beautiful.
Windmills are for stupid people.
I said something earlier on X. I said that the military-industrial complex to the benefit of Europe, Israel, and China, the EIC. And I said this the other day, and I say it, today, and I really do feel this way. And this whole Greenland deal, and now NATO is going to, we should just pull out of NATO. That's, for the Canadian Prime Minister to invoke Article 5 as some type of geopolitical posture or threat to America is so inappropriate and ungrateful to the American working class, the American people.
The people that bled and died.
Canada's position should always be, we're rolling with America. America's our brother right here in our neighborhood. Not we're rolling with NATO or we're rolling with the Chinese.
They're in the Commonwealth.
It's absolutely, and you got to ask yourself again.
The king is the chief executive officer.
We
of
have
Canada.
to decide whether or not we're European. I put up a poll yesterday. I said, which of these?
I was all of the above. I saw that poll. It's funny.
Atlanticism philosophy, weak Christians, or feckless Republicans.
How do we lose the country?
How do we lose the country to communists and Satanists? And somebody comes in and obviously goes, Zionism. And I go, well, that would be called a unifying theory. Sure, that's an acceptable answer. Feminism. No, I think feminism took this country because of these 3 things. That wasn't the root cause. That wasn't the source. The source was 3 things. We fancy ourselves European. Our Christianity is lukewarm at best. And our Republicans are just as much Democrat as the Democrats, a lot of them. Tim Scott, Lisa Murkowski, Liz Cheney, just to name a few, but we could even go on down the line to John Thune. And for some reason, we're going to pretend like John Thune and Lindsey Graham are really Republican. And we'll tell ourselves, as long as, so again, it's like that video I put up where I said there are no party lines anymore. And, it's got 1 million views or something like that. Dustin Grazy's lying through his teeth. Oh, Michele Tafoya has only been announced for, and only has been announced for 3 hours, and she's already got more, whatever he was saying, than any of the other GOP candidates combined. More what? More views? More social media circulation? And that's not even remotely true. I mean, I've had 4 videos do 3 million views apiece in the last 2 weeks. And that's shouldn't even be a measure of thing. What the measure should be is what I said in the video.
Yeah, well, they are measuring it. That's why the NRSC has found a new candidate.
The NRS, but even more importantly, the NRSC has went to all of their media friends, their reliable media friends, from Dave Rubin to Clay Travis, Scott Jennings, just like Gutfeld, and leaned on them to help circulate Michele Tafoya's launch. And even that on Facebook, I mean, we have to get down to that. Do you still watch Fox News?
Yeah, do you? That's a really good question.
Do you still? I never watch Fox News.
You know when I stopped? Can I
Never.
tell you when I stopped
Go ahead.
watching? When they called Arizona in 2020. That was the last time I turned on Fox News. I haven't turned it on since. So you got to look at a lot of different news sources, and I'm going to say we're going to have to stand up now. It's really not about Michele Tafoya. It's about us as citizens. I just don't want to take this anymore. I mean, I recognize that we're being robbed of trillions of dollars. I recognize that we've lost our way. And the only way back really is for American citizens to get involved in politics and reject this kind of pablum. It's just like watching football. I mean, it actually is kind of poetic as I think about it. We've got a bread and circuses candidate to distract us with the idea of winning, the hope of winning, the illusion of winning without real principles. And she's cut her teeth right in this kind of false world. And people like it. I mean,
It's just the same way that we love sports.
That's what it is.
It's
she's
actually
perfect for it.
She's perfect for it. It's actually a unifying. It's a false unification is what it is. The perfect false unification, because they know that people are sycophants for sports
and afraid of the polarization, afraid of standing up for sovereignty.
The perception is Michele Tafoya is well known, and who really dislikes a sideline commentator? Nobody, because they never really take a hard stand on anything one way or another.
If they do, they get bounced.
The entire the entire role of a sideline commentator is to just facilitate the status quo of what athletes and coaches say after every single game. Well, what happened there during that half? We didn't play well. We did play well. We didn't, run the ball particularly well. We passed the ball particularly well. The defense was good. The defense was bad. The special teams needs to do.
The whole thing is just a bunch of BS.
Well, it's just the same over and over again is what I'm saying.
Right.
I had to stop listening to sports interviews, post-game sports interviews or halftime sports interviews, unless it was somebody who was, who was ballsy.
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor was a great one.
That was a change.
But even your guy like the Boston Celtics head coach there, his name escapes me off the top of my head, but, the Boston Celtics head coach, Alabama's football coach, UConn's basketball coach. I mean, there are some guys who are willing to actually say some shit that's
pressing the limit,
considered to be controversial, highly controversial. Still basic. Like the Boston Celtics coach, they asked him, the royal family was at the basketball game tonight. Did you see him? And he goes, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. I mean, shit went crazy on the internet because you're not even supposed to talk about your Christian faith as a professional basketball coach in this country. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were at the game tonight? No, the royal family, the British. Oh, I only know there's only one. He said. Then he doubled down. Then he said, "There's only one royal family: Jesus, Mary, and Joseph." Wow. Boom. Need guys like that. Haven't kicked him out of the league yet, but I'm sure he's on his way. I mean, he makes one. The plans are in motion. I mean, he better be damn careful. Because he makes one wrong move, there'll be a sex scandal so far up his rear end.
Or he's an anti-Semite.
Oh man, his head will spin. And it's right there on the edge of the. But what I'm saying is, sports interviews have become so mundane, and just this, it's like a trance. It's like a type of trance. Like, I'm going to watch the game, and the game is spectacular. I mean, the competition is something that we can't lose.
Mind-boggling,
right? There's an art form and a skill level of mastery, a craftsmanship to professional sports that we need to keep in this culture. In fact, we need more of. And there's a weird antithesis in American culture, too, between what we love and adore from our professional athletes and what we teach to our young people. We teach our young people that everybody's equal, but in professional sports, we teach meritocracy and elite skill. So even that's a strange separation culturally. We need more of the skill and mastery than we do everybody's equal. But the fucking interviews are such a shining example of how watered down American intellectual thought has become. And I'm not saying that these athletes need to be intellectuals, but you can visibly see that they're confined in what they say by the fear that something too far in one direction will have extremely severe negative consequences for them economically, socially, and professionally. That's what Michele Tafoya has participated in and facilitated for 30 years of her adult life. That status quo, the status quo of professional athletes.
We like it.
The status quo of professional athletes not being able to speak their mind. So they come to the sideline and say, yeah, we won. And that's a good thing. And, this person played well. That person played well. I was scared for a moment there because they were, pushing a comeback and we just got out of there in the skin of our teeth. And we'll see you next weekend. Every single game. That's why I was blackballed from the NBA. To bring it all full circle. The difference between me and Michele Tafoya, principally, fundamentally, is I was willing to sacrifice my career to say one small thing controversial about the human condition and challenge policy. Michele Tafoya got rich for 30 years and now conveniently wants to parlay her popularity into American politics. And if we allow that type of thing to go on, we deserve to fucking die under communism.
I'll go right back.
We deserve it.
Let's just have.
We deserve it.
Are we going to have any debates, Michele? Michele, since you're watching, or some of your people are
We
watching.
deserve it. You all deserve it. Listen to the sound of my voice.
Ask for debate.
Listen to the sound of my voice. You fucking deserve it. All of you milquetoast Christians out there who sat home and didn't even have the sacred honor to cast a ballot, whether it would be counted or not, to show up and be represented by your own values, be represented in, not by, be represented in your own values and faith. You didn't even have the sacred honor. 30 million of you nationwide didn't even have the sacred honor to show up and cast a ballot in 2024. And if you did, and 30 million Christians weren't counted, then you don't even have the sacred honor to hit the streets and protest and say, why weren't we counted? And finally, when the dust settles and we get more of the same, which we have more of the same, President Trump is, and then they want to, throw their judgment on him because he becomes the scapegoat on both sides of the aisle. That really makes me, that really grinds my gears. It's like we are masters of scapegoating in American culture and human civilization. But right now, American society and American citizens are masters at scapegoating. So President Trump becomes the focal point of everything that goes on. No, the people. You didn't even show up. And now we're getting more of the same. And we really are. The SAVE Act not being passed. Everybody's, pass the SAVE Act, pass the SAVE Act. Michele Tafoya will be a great candidate. Did you see Tim Scott endorsed her? And these are the very people in the NRSC that refused to pass the SAVE Act. And then we talk about the contradiction of the Democrats. Then we talk about the contradiction on the left. The Republican Party is being broken. It is being crushed. It is crumbling under the weight of our own contradiction. Because you can't hold both views simultaneously. You can't say we have to pass the SAVE Act. It's the most important piece of legislation to ensure that we have an actual election. But we want Michele Tafoya, who are being supported by the same people that won't pass that act, for elections that we say or we affirm as real because Royce was a bad candidate in 2024. I mean, this level of contradiction is so profound as to make me not even want to participate. Now, I have enough individual sacred honor and enough individual fortitude that over my dead body would I ever drop out of a race, this race, any race.
Why would you drop out? You're Michele, show up and debate. Okay, let the people see how deep your waters.
But the point is that people actually, the contradiction, the level of contradiction is so profound People are right to be discouraged. People are right to be discouraged.
Well, thank you.
You're
Because
not
I've been waking up discouraged.
You're not even. The logical incoherence is staggering. How can you support a candidate who has been recruited and being pushed by the very people holding up the legislation you say is the most important to ensure that we have a republic and fair elections? How do you square that circle? Because she's good looking? Because she's popular? Then you deserve to die under communism. Seriously, you deserve it. Our founding fathers would have said, you deserve it. Even the Bible, even Scripture would say, you deserved it. That's what happened to everybody talk about Israel. Let's talk about Israel. Let's talk about coming out of Egypt and how God condemned the people who made it out of Egypt, but except a very few. Two, to be specific. All of them died in the desert. He condemned them to death.
And why?
Oh, and that there.
And why?
Proceed,
And why?
My Jewish friend.
Well, let me just say, the Jews suffered 400 years of slavery.
Yeah.
And then they were rescued. And it says in the Scripture, not by an angel, not by a seraph, but by God himself came and rescued the Jewish people. And he got them out, and they were wandering around the Sinai, and Moses goes up on the mountain to get the law, which is the story. And he comes down off the mountain with the Holy Writ. And he looks down, and they got a golden calf, and they're having a hell of an orgy down there. And he said, wait a second. Something's not right here. And the earth opened up and swallowed some of the miscreants. And if you're Jewish, that one sticks with your mind because it's pretty final. And then God said, hey, not even you, Moses, you're not going to get in the promised land because you didn't follow the way. Only Joshua and Caleb. God said, every one of these people have to die because their consciousness is not right. It's not right for a free people. Not right for a free people.
Harrowing.
It's a little terrifying, actually, because we can see what's going on right here in our own backyard.
Right.
Is that people are accepting their own slavery, and they're happy about it. That's the part that's the discouraging part.
Yes.
It's one thing to accept slavery and bridle under it and fight it and be oppressed. It's another thing to say, hey, cuckery, can we please? I know you love me. You're doing it because you love me, right? And so some of these things that you laid down 4 years ago, 3 years ago, people say, what the hell? Why is he using the word cuckery? We had a lot of Christian people say you can't use that word cuckery. But it is the highest kind of.
Oh, I can't?
Well, because.
I'll use whatever words I want to use because I'm 34 years old and my philosophical fundamentals are sorted. My logical first principles are sorted.
And what is
my critical thought is running at a premium level.
That's why I want
premium.
I want Michele to step up on
premium
the stage.
level. So excuse me,
I want Michele
but the
to
point is, when you are operating at that level intellectually, you're okay with the solace. You're okay. You're okay with solitude.
You have to be,
and that's one of the underlying messages that I have for people all the time. You hear me when I'm at these Republican Party events. I tell them, you get the government you deserve, and by God, we all will. Make your choice and live with your decision. It's not going to be personal towards me. It's not going to feel personal to me. It's certainly not an indictment of me, because we can go around the table about 100 issues, and I guarantee the lion's share of the time, my logical conclusion is going to be closer to right and universal truth than anybody else at the table. Because I'm not pitching at nothing. I'm not bought by anybody. I don't have an agenda. I'll just take the thing down to the root, like I did with Dustin Gragey. If it's a fundamental right for an American citizen or any free person anywhere in the world, a God-given inalienable right for a free person to defend themselves in the face of danger or in the face of a life-threatening situation, then why is the same not true of our foreign policy? Why is the same not true geopolitically? That means there's no connection between the American spirit, the American fundamental ideas, core values, philosophy, and the way we operate around the world. So we can't then say that we're trying to transpose American freedom everywhere else. We're trying to export American freedom, or as they said, democracy and self-determination, peace through strength. We're not trying to export peace through strength. We're not trying to export self-determinism, being self-determining, if we don't have a connection between what we believe as Americans, if we don't even really agree on what we believe as Americans. It's like that's where sports teaches you good things. Before you ever play that first game, if you're on a team or you're in a league that's any good, there's a decent amount of time, there's a sufficient amount of time to practice first so that the team can get on one page. And then we're going to test out which team has a better strategy and game plan once they're all on one page, once they've had time to get on one page. Right now, the beating heart of the America First movement is we need to get back on one page. We need to get back on the same page, and not the uniparty page, not the America second or third or last page.
Not at the win at all any cost page.
Certainly not at, we did that number. We did that number. That's why Somalia is still a failed state. And they want to blame it on the Somalians, and I'll say, yeah, we could blame the Somalis. Sure, they're culpable in it, no doubt. The Somalis got to carry some responsibility too. But the reality is, it's no brag on our own philosophy or geopolitical strategy or our government that we've been involved in Somalia since 1993, and reasonably well before that. And it's still the most unstable nation in the world. It's not like number 10 or number 20 out of 190-some countries. It's number 1. How is the product that bad? How is a nation that we've been involved in, intervening in for some 30-plus years, still the most unstable country in the entire world? Indictment of the liberal order. It's a beacon of the failure of the liberal order. Minnesota, failed state. Somalia, failed state. Somalia, us, intelligence community, military-industrial complex, the Somali people's own leaders. Here in Minnesota, Democrats, Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, Jacob Fry, Tom Emmer, Michele Fischbach, Vin Weber, Rudy Boschwitz, Norm Coleman, Tim Pawlenty.
You can flip this whole thing around.
I know you and I haven't been in charge. If you and I were in charge.
But flip it around for a second. Just flip it around.
Yeah.
Flip it around. Flip it around and say, why is Somalia the most unstable country in the world? Because that's the way we want it to be. Because you can rule over an unstable polity.
Much easier.
Much easier.
But even deeper is that's the way the Somali people obviously want it to be.
Well, or they've been factionalized over time, arming both sides,
right.
All these tribes, easy to, it's one thing to arm people with spears and clubs. It's another thing to give them
guns and tanks.
Because, the killing is a lot more intense.
And easier.
And so, keep them
industrializing killing.
Keep them just, and then you talk about the United States, about the United States too, but Minnesota, failed state. Not if you're on the right side of the payroll. Man, if you're on the right side of the cash,
it's going well.
This has been, this is the best thing that ever happened. And what we're going to fix, and see, now there's going to be this great effort to put these people up there like Michele Tafoya, because they're going to bring stability.
Back to the middle.
Right back, because when we, as the people, if we actually come to grips with the way we've been robbed for the last 50 years, the robbing and stealing, where'd all this money go? There's this kind of thing, if you're not really a money person, and I get it, and they say, well, 20 billion disappeared. First of all, how do you even get your mind around 20 billion? It's just a word. But then you have to recognize that money went somewhere. It came from printed fiat currency, and we're paying for everything that's real and everything that's unreal, but the unreal is enriching someone.
And we're paying interest on it.
And and we like it. We're going to work every day. I get up every day and go to work, man. If people really wrap their minds around how corrupt this is at every level. Every level. You name the institution. How about the lawyers? Let's talk about the lawyers just for a second.
Proceed.
I mean, they're educated. They're one of our 4 professions. We hold them in high esteem. You get a legal license, a law, you join the bar. So it's really a chance to just print money. They're involved in everything. If you do anything, and they go, well, wait a sec. There's a lot of conservative lawyers. I hear this all the time. I hear it from friends of ours. There's not any conservative lawyers because the Overton window has been shifted so far to the left in the law schools that if you're on the right as a lawyer, you're really at the best in the center. We've just lost the natural order of things because the law, we have to follow rule of law. We're a nation, but the law has been corrupted by generations
Of
lawyers
lawlessness.
that has now become institutionalized.
Skullduggery.
It's institutionalized as legal.
Right.
It doesn't make it moral. It doesn't make it right. It just makes it legal. So there's the churches. Look at the church. All the churches are on the payroll. I mean, I'm looking at these parishioners in St. Paul, and I know they were scared. But don't they read that thing about losing their life to find it? How can you let your sanctuary be desecrated? And what they're going to say is, we turn the other cheek.
Of course.
We were Christian.
That's what Michele Tafoya represents.
Yeah, that's where I'm heading with it.
There you go. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, disarm the men. There's
Well,
no more.
I wasn't thinking about it like that, but that too.
Yeah, they're disarmed.
That too.
Because I'm going to tell you.
The Christian.
Could you imagine those protesters going into a mosque like that? What would happen?
Oh, they wouldn't.
They'd be afraid to.
The point is, we don't know what would happen in that case because they wouldn't do it, and that says something profound about the let's say WWE theater presented about the holy war unfolding worldwide. I don't really think it's a war because of what you just said. You know, people wouldn't go into a mosque and do that. Not here in America or anywhere else in the world.
Well, if you do go in, because it did happen in Israel,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy walked in there with an automatic weapon and slaughtered about 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go in, you got to go in ready to play.
What I'm saying is they're not going in just for some cosplay protest.
No, that's correct.
Right.
You know, but this whole
You might bomb a mosque, but that's kind of total and final.
The whole evacuation of the spirit
Mm-hmm.
of protecting and shielding and covering this society. That's how I was brought up. That's why I'm doing this at my age. I'm
Amen,
old enough
sir.
not to do it, but
Amen.
I'm still functional enough that I want to protect my country. We have to protect, and then we're going to put in what? How is this going to protect my freedom? That's the question I want to ask Michele Tafoya. What are you going to do to protect my freedom?
You've already answered the question, and that's the sad part is we've already answered the question. We know the answer. I mean, and people know the answer. It's not like they don't know. They know. They understand. I'm not giving people that out. People understand. People deeply understand. The brilliance of our founding fathers is that the government is a reflection of the people, and that at the deepest level of the will of the people, the deepest level of the people's collective will shine out, will represent itself in who we choose to lead us. And at certain moments in time, we will completely kick the can on what we know is right for what we feel is comfortable.
I guess the NFL brand is way stronger than the SEAL brand.
Well, the problem, yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, we had a candidate out there.
It's not the NFL thing. It's got nothing to do with that, really. I mean, her being a sideline reporter is, I think, marginal. It's really that she's a woman. And she's a woman with a particular.
You know that Rod Kern told me they were looking for a female business leader
She's a
candidate.
woman with a particularly.
That's correct.
She's a woman with a particularly masculine voice.
So is Lisa Damoth, actually, when you talk about it that way.
So is Liz Collins.
So is Liz Collins.
Let's get right down to it.
It's a slippery slope on this part of the hill.
My shoes work great over here. My shoes are got great traction. I got great grip. I'm on solid ground over here.
Well, I saw that post you put up about awful. I saw that
Is
post.
Michele Tafoya not a woman with a particularly masculine sounding voice? A relatively deep voice for a woman.
We would say it over on the other side of the pond. She's young. She's very young. She's a very young woman.
Okay.
Young.
So
she has a lot of male energy.
And my point is, the capitulation is not to the NFL sports culture. The capitulation is to the identity politics of a feminist-driven political culture. The sports thing is just a substrate. The sports thing is actually a scapegoat. It's a justification. They can say, "Oh, she's popular. A lot of name notoriety. That's why we like her." No,
I've been watching her for 30 years.
No, that's not why you want her. That's not why you like her. It's a sort of it's a way to bridge the growing gender war in people's own homes about the political divide. And they think that's symbolic of victory. They actually, when a people or a nation, when a culture starts to accept that radical concession is symbolic of victory, you're a nation in decline. You're a people and a culture in decline. But some of these people don't even really believe in the importance of nationhood or culture or being a people. They certainly don't believe in we the people. So that's where we've really come down to is, what do people actually believe in? What do people actually want? First, what do they believe in? And then what do they want? And that's where our founding fathers were brilliant, I think. What America represents historically is our founding fathers making a declaration that most people are going to be common people. It's just a kind of a it's kind of an axiomatic truth of civilization. Most people are going to be common folk. But you have the ability and you can feel good about aiming for something higher in your life if it's righteous and if it's to the betterment of your family, your community, your state, your nation. That you can feel a sense of pride in aiming for something higher than common status if it's righteous, if it's rooted in ideas that are pointed and aimed towards a greater good. That's the founding of America. That's the difference between America and the post-Enlightenment European culture. And in post-Enlightenment Europe, you're a fucking peasant, you're a slave, you pray, and that's about as good as it's going to get, because the monarchs are always going to have control of who rises and who falls, who ascends in society.
And if you read the founding fathers, their rhetoric is so beautiful, and the thought, the ideas are so deep. And you take a look at where we're at today, and this is part of my depression. The problems are so complicated. I mean, actually, when you understand them, it's very simple.
Right.
But to get from I don't understand it to I do understand it, that's a long trip in there. It's taken me.
It's a Rubicon.
Well, let me tell you, I knew what was going on in the 70s, but I didn't want to believe it. So, but now when they're right in your face like this, I mean,
NASA.
Well, come on. But when you see it and you live it, and then you have to come to grips with, if this is true, who is running this show? And it's certainly not the people. So I understand why the people would capitulate into something stable and something reassuring and maternal and something that gives them some way out of who the hell is running this? Because it's not us. And that goes back to the election issue. That's the brilliance of Mike Lindell. He stood up and he said, this is BS.
Right.
And then they took him down for it.
Right.
And pretty much in the Republican Party here in Minnesota, I can testify as an officer, I was actually told never to discuss election issues by the establishment here in this state. They said never discuss it.
Of course.
Because nobody really wants to come to grips with, if these elections are meddled with, who's doing the meddling? And the next question is, if we figure out who's meddling, what are we going to do to these people for subverting the sanctuary of the United States of
Public
America and the
hangings.
altar.
Public hangings.
Public hangings?
Public hangings. Yep. If you meddled with our elections, if you helped rig our elections, if you were involved in some subversive plot,
Nuremberg.
public hangings.
Nuremberg. You want a Nuremberg?
Ask me now. You all out there in the audience, you go ask Michele Tafoya what we should do with election fraud or election rigging traitors, and you'll have your answer about where you are on the ideas you say you value.
Do you know that the Star Tribune?
You're not a 1776 patriot, that's for sure.
The Star Tribune just in the last few
Well,
days.
what do you think the answer would be? What do you think Michele would say? That the consequence should be
now
for
that
people
we
rigged
brought it up,
she wouldn't even say the elections were rigged to
or
start.
she'll have some completely curated and focus grouped answer.
If the daycares have that much fraud, imagine the elections.
Yeah, imagine the elections.
If Minnesota daycares have that much fraud, imagine our elections.
If $20 trillion was robbed through the Department of Defense, which there's good data on that. We got Don Rumsfeld right on YouTube saying 2.3 trillion disappeared. And you want to know, that was 2001. If the American people had taken that 2.3 trillion and just put it into the QQQ fund, it'd be 19 trillion. We wouldn't have very much of a public debt, would we? But somebody got that money and they put it into the fund. They got to invest.
That would be
it.
called BlackRock.
Well, somebody.
Yeah.
And then what are we going to? And so
look at who has the money.
But that's a good point. Follow the money. But what
it's a lot of money to just go to evaporate.
But
it's still there in the system. You can see who had it.
And then you
can actually track who. You can actually track
where it went.
Well,
you want to know something? Then we get these firebrand people like a Matt Gaetz.
And he's the bad guy. Matt Gaetz is the enemy
Royce
number
White.
one.
Oh, you know a Royce White,
right?
Or some of these
who
folks
tell you to follow the money, confront the lie, and it's everything other than the fact that you just don't want to be inconvenienced by the truth. That's what it really boils down to.
Well, it's a little bit more than inconvenience. It's the fear of what that great movie with Jack Nicholson, You Can't Handle the Truth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really that is the issue of it. We can't handle.
What movie is that? The General's Daughter, was it?
No, it's oh man, come on, with Tom Cruise and I don't know. They're sitting out in the audience right now going, "What's wrong with you two guys? Yeah. You can't handle the truth."
Right.
But my point is, we can't handle it. We don't want to deal with the implications of where we're living, of what evils have been foisted upon us.
A few good men.
A few good men. There it is. Right.
But the real question is,
we got to.
No, the question is he right? See, that's the decision we have to make.
Can we handle it?
Yes. It's not, because right now, as it stands, he's right. You can't handle the truth.
Oh, we're putting up candidates that are supposed to make sure that the truth never comes out.
We're putting up candidates that are supposed to appease the fact that we can't handle the truth. That's the whole point of it. The real decision to make for us as a people is, can we handle the truth, and how uncomfortable that's going to eventually feel. Obviously.
I'm very uncomfortable. Myself personally.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not able to sleep. I just have to be frank. There are many nights now because I just look out at this and I think about, people say, I'm doing this for my kids. We heard Dan Schultz say that. I'm not doing this for my kids. Yeah. My kids have to do it for themselves.
Amen.
I'm doing it for me. I am so offended by the willingness of the. First of all, I'm offended by these assholes.
That's another one. We're doing it for our kids. You let the fucking medical industrial complex stick experimental vaccines in your kids for 3 generations. You're not doing shit for your kids. Stop lying. Stop. Another lie we're telling ourselves. That's just something.
It's another virtue signal.
It's just another thing people say. We're doing this for the future generations. No, you're getting your back whipped. That's a form of cuckery. It's like, oh well, I'm gonna have to
because
suffer.
I don't want to. I'm not.
I know I'm gonna have to suffer. I know I don't have the balls to actually stand up to the corruption. And, well, what can you do about it? What can we really do?
One thing they could do is they could go to caucus.
Yeah, you
could.
No.
This is an interesting vignette, little moment. What can you do? Well, you don't really have to pick up a rifle and go out in the street yet. You could just go to caucus on February 3rd and join your party. And I say either party. Why? Because they're both the same group of corrupt assholes. And the political process is begging everyday citizens to just go in there and say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not taking this anymore. Fuck you. I'm not going to endorse, I have to say it, the white starch shirt wearing, blue suit wearing, red, white, and blue tie wearing, American flag lapel pin wearing, married my high school sweetheart, graduated from Harvard, went to law school, was in the ROTC, have combat medals, and we're $38 trillion in debt. Fuck you. Fuck you, people. You're fucking virtue signaling. No, that is not what this country was about. This country was set up so that I could be free. And I know you don't like it. I know you don't like it. I know you don't like it.
They already turned the podcast off because they can't handle the word fuck. And that's a symbol of what the times we're really in. And if there is,
I swear
if there is a comment to be made about the importance of future generations, God, please make a way we don't raise up our next generation to be as milquetoast and soft and have lost the saltiness that we need to defend our freedom and the faith. God, please make a way. Because right now, after Charlie, I can't even believe it. After Charlie Kirk was brutally assassinated and the whole world came to a standstill and we sang the songs and we pulled the clips and the sound bites and we posted the quotes. We wore the T-shirts. We held the signs with his name on it. A modern day martyr. Charlie Kirk, modern day martyr, genuine martyr of the faith, Christian man, assassinated for saying what he thinks. Modern day martyr. And we still have people who aren't pissed off enough to handle the word fuck. That Christianity is still tied to profanity and not the infinite amount of corruption and lies and wickedness that surrounds them. That is the greatest source of catharsis, false catharsis, I'm sorry. That is the greatest source of false catharsis in Western society.
A little bit of scapegoating too.
Yep, that's what it is.
And
if you flipped it on its head and you said, let's take it the other way around.
Okay.
Let's say that you had Christians that were a little rough around the edges enough to use profanity with some confidence, but they were willing to fight all the other battles with all the other corruption and wickedness around them. Our country would be completely different. See, and that's how you know that it's really on us. So when you say self-improvement is really important. I mean, it's
self-empowerment.
Self-empowerment. It's an integral to the whole battle. It really is. The interesting thing is with the right leadership, you could have 30 million Christians wake up at once and change the way that they think and change what they do. It's possible.
And I got an insight on this.
And unlikely, but possible.
I have an insight on this.
Mm-hmm.
Just came to me like a lightning bolt. Because every time I see some leftist or some talking head, some commentator, sideline commentator, saying, oh, white Christo nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, where? I mean, there's a few outliers out there, but I mean, come on. Because that
the boogeyman that doesn't even exist.
Well, right.
The Christians aren't even tough enough to be what you're claiming they are.
But they're because these are intellectuals. They know the moves that are coming down the chessboard.
Right.
And they know the last and best hope for the survival of this country is for people of faith to fight for their right.
And that's why,
but they've got out in front of it.
You cannot like what Jake Lang said on Alex Jones and what people like Jake Lang are saying out there, but they're the only representation of the Christianity that establishment fears.
Well, he had the right to say it because he definitely put it on the line. Didn't he?
Oh, absolutely, he did.
I mean, he was about to be ripped limb from limb.
Yeah,
I mean, that was incredible.
It was kind of poetic justice for the black man to be the one to run up and save him.
It was beautiful.
It was.
was beautiful.
It was.
And, I
teachable moment for the country.
Did you see that man's interview, the black
I did.
young man?
And what did he talk about?
Love.
Based on
Christian values.
God.
Yes.
Right.
I believe in God, and love will always overcome hate.
How poetic. I mean, didn't I tell you that there were black men out there on the left who believe in God but don't understand the connection between communism and Marxism and the left in this country?
We're going to let Michele Tafoya explain it to him. Michele, come up here and explain to your constituents how communism has taken root in this state, going back to the immigration from Northern Europe and the integration of Marxist ideology and Darwinist ideology into the University of Minnesota, which has converted generations of people into slaves. Please explain it to your constituents and free them like a Moses. Show up and do that, and you're worth something to me. But a little bit of sideline commentary. Hey, Coach, can you tell us what happened in the locker room between the two halves? Well, we didn't.
Now she's going to ride the fraud. I mean, it's just like any Tom, Dick, or Mohammed could point to the fraud in Minnesota and say, there's something wrong here. It's like, really? You're going to be United States Senator? And I get it. Make the main thing the main thing. I'm not saying that we shouldn't talk about the fraud, but this was my problem. This was my disagreement with Whitlock. It's like, well, let's talk about this story because it just happened yesterday. I don't give a fuck what happened yesterday. Let's go back and talk about something we've talked about 10 times.
And get it right.
Because that's what our founding fathers did. Our founding fathers were like that. So we're not like that in the Republican Party. We're very attuned to the news of the day. Even this launch for Tafoya is a sign of how easy we gravitate towards the news of the day. The entire social media algorithm is built around the human being's impulse, propensity towards the gossip of the day. That's what trending is. Trending, this is what other people are talking about. And okay, we have to have a conversation with other people or else the conversation becomes meaningless. It ceases to exist if it's not with other people. The question is, what premium do we place on what things in the conversation? And right now we're shooting for the dirt. I mean, our aspirations intellectually in this country.
That was a classic. We're shooting for the dirt. That is our intellectual aspiration.
The dirt.
It's terrible.
And then dirt packaged up as a Christmas gift.
And then you create all these complex historical problems that require real study and contemplation. And you don't have people, forget about the willingness to do it. They don't have the motive to do it if they have the willingness. And that's also a plan.
Like the value of citizenship versus slavery, for example, feudalism, right?
And this feudalism is here. And the great fear that I have, my great fear, is that people will start to foist upon President Trump their frustrations, not recognizing the wrecking ball he's been of the narrative going back to 2015.
That's right.
This man exposes one group after another group. They go, oh, this is so tyrannical with ICE. Oh, yeah, it is. But look what it's exposing.
Right.
Look at how everybody's taking sides around it. Everybody can see where everybody else is coming from. I saw a thing, this was epic. I'm going to play this on a podcast next week. It's no longer MSNBC. It's like MS Now.
Yeah.
They still have Morning Joe on there. This morning on Morning Joe, they were actually forced to defend the post-World War II rules-based order. And they were just laying it out. Oh, no. It was...
I got to see it.
It was staggering.
I got to see it.
He had pushed them so far into the corner that they had to say...
They came out and said it?
We just don't agree.
The greatest contradiction in global politics, the greatest contradiction in American politics, is the mainstream media's liberal view. All of history is rooted in racism, white supremacy, or colonial Europe's tyranny. And the greatest contradiction is that all of Western society is rooted in racism, white supremacy, and colonialism. But we're willing to spend our treasure to defend the territorial integrity of Europe.
And we have a rules-based order that does it, that we're hanging our hats on. And who's really against the rules-based order? Who actually double-crossed the rules-based order? All the countries that were colonized. All the countries that suffered under the colonial boot, which has now been whitewashed with the rules. It's actually a whitewashing of neocolonialism. It's staggering. And then Trump just said, and this is where I go, I'm not in his head, I don't know. I think if I was going to just make a theory, I don't think Trump is per se against the rules-based order. What he's against is betrayal. And he's saying, hey, if you're all going to betray this rule of law, then we're going to run it.
Oh yeah,
that's his play.
Oh, if you're going to betray the agreement, if you're gonna go back on the load-bearing walls, the pillars of the entire.
We gave you all a chance to participate. We gave you a chance.
If you're going to do it, we're going to win. We're going to do it, and we're going to win.
And he's doing it. And so then we get a lot of patriots that are saying, well, he's not focusing on the country. And he's not, a lot of criticism. What I see is politics is an ongoing process. He's pushed this ball upfield so far from where we were in 2015. I remember sitting on my couch in 2016.
Saying this shit is over.
Well, I was still I knew what was going on. My mouth was hanging open when he won. It's like I was stunned that he won.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant 2020.
No, 16.
It's been another episode of Please Call Me Crazy, brought to you by. It's been another episode of Please Call Me Crazy, brought to you by Free People Radio, powered by our favorite sponsor, TireGet.com. That's TireGet.com. You have to buy tires from somebody, you might as well buy them from us. Help fund the movement, help support the movement. We believe in the freedom of movement, and that's exactly what the establishment wants to take from you now. We must hold the line. Defeat these rhinos. They're right up in your face. John Thune, Steve Daines, Tim Scott, Lisa Murkowski.
Susan Collins,
Liz. They're all right up in your face.
Lindsey Graham.
Right up in your face. Hold the line. We'll be back with you again. Maybe we'll do HEBROES again Friday. 3 parts in a row. So we got to run today. But thank you all for being here this evening. I look forward to the future debates, hopefully in the near future with Michele Tafoya.
Please.
That would be very, very entertaining. I would
Step right on up.
Love to be involved in those debates. Michele Tafoya, if you're out there, the challenge has been issued. 10 debates in a row. We got a lot of runway until that endorsement. 10 debates.
Let's do something for the people. Let's be educators, political educators. Let's spread Republicanism. Michele.
Great Professor Penn podcast, 7 p.m. Central Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Make sure that you subscribe. That's it for us. Appreciate your listenership and viewership today and in the future. We'll see you again Friday evening. God bless you. God bless America. Godspeed.
Thank you very much.
Have a great evening. Thanks for being here, Professor Penn. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Everything's up on the bar. We're all in. We get to decide. Do you want to live on your knees, or do you want to die on your feet fighting? That's the decision you get to make now.